Hey guys, Joe here, and here to talk about the Rob matchup guide / analysis. Now in this video I'm going to be talking about some of the pros and cons of Rob, some of the matchups that he's very good versus, very bad versus, and even on. But with all that said, let's get this started. Okay, now let's get started about talking about the pros of Rob. Of course, I'll just be talking to you in number form, 1 to 10, and there we go. So the first thing is that Rob is extremely safe. His up air, forward air, back air, down air somewhat, neutral air, down B, and B all apply a lot of really easy pressure, and the opponent can't do way too much against them. He can kind of just keep opponents at very far range, and this is one of the things that makes Rob good against a variety of the cast, and makes so he doesn't really lose any matchups straight up, just because he's a very safe character, but still can go in with his great throws. The second thing is that he does have a very strong projectile, that being his down B, and even his neutral B, which does allow him to do the third thing, which is camp. So he can camp for quite a while. He can just throw those projectiles like mad. If the opponent perfect shields his down B, he can just throw another one, and he can just hold his gyro, throw it at the opponent, or Z-drop it, use it for combos. He's a lot of stuff he can do, and he can camp, so if the opponent has a very slow amount of little projectiles, you can essentially out-camp them, because your projectiles are pretty good and they go all the way across the map. The fourth thing is that he does have very good tilts. Now, those are mainly his up tilt and his down tilt. Down tilt applies a lot of shield pressure and can somewhat combo, and up tilt does, of course, combo pretty well. And forward tilt, just kind of punches them across the face. Really not way too bad. The fifth thing is that he does have some great kill moves, along with the sixth thing being that he does have great kill moves and great killing aerials. For aerials, he can kill with his back air, up air, and down air, and even sometimes his forward airs for some weird combos off the stage. But on the ground, he can also go for an up smash, down smash, and even sometimes side smash. Maybe not that as much, but sometimes. He has a multitude of kill moves, and he also does have a lot of combo moves to go into those kill moves, so that is very strong. Now, the seventh thing is that he does have an amazing Nair. Now, this thing auto-cancels, has a huge hitbox, it's very hard to punish, and you can just kind of throw it out pretty often. The opponent can't do way too much. It just stops the opponent, so there's that. Very, very strong. The eighth thing is that he does have a full stage recovery. He can up B from almost anywhere, get back. He can also attack out of his up B, so you're really not in one of those helpless modes. You can just hit the opponent, and it's really hard to stop Rob. Especially because, for the ninth thing, he can live for a very long amount of time. Rob is heavy, Rob has a great recovery, and if the opponent tries to actually kill you off the stage, a lot of times you can stop them with your really high priority neutral air up air, or you can just shoot one of your projectiles to try to stop them from trying to gimp you. So it's really hard to kill Rob. And, of course, he can just DI pretty well. There you go. The final thing is that he does have a good throw, mainly being down throw, and that can go down throw into up air to achieve you a kill, or at least a lot of damage early game. With all those pros, we must also go into the cons of Rob. In my opinion, he doesn't have way too many cons, as you can see, only 5, but let's get into them either way. The first one is that he gets comboed very easily. He doesn't have any fast get-off moves, so if somebody gets into Rob's space and just starts attacking him and comboing him, he's kind of doomed. Also, the fact that he is very heavy and very tall, meaning that they can just hit him a lot, and it does become a very big problem for Rob. Second thing is that, of course, he does have no get-off-me move. Now, this can also be on the ground if the opponent combos you on the ground or the air. You just don't really have anything that can really get off of you, other than your jab, but still that isn't one of the fastest moves in the game. Next is that he can use the gyro, but the opponent can pick up the gyro and use it against Rob. Now, this is one of the things that I've really seen as a problem with Rob. Of course, a lot of times the gyro will just go off the field and won't really do way too much, but if the opponent happens to pick it up, then they can either just hold it with a pocket from a villager, or they can just grab it, throw it back at you, and use it as additional pressure with their projectiles, and it can become a little bit of a problem for Rob. It's not one of the most big problems in the game, but it can become a bit of a problem. Next thing is that it is kind of hard to set up kills a lot of the times. You can go down throw up air, but other than that, you do have to go for some of these really hard to pull off kills with your gyro. You have to go for like Z-drops into down airs off the stage and just stage spike them. It's really hard to get a gyro spike or any of these kills, but it does turn out pretty well. And also you can just shield into up smash, and that does turn out at least okay. Now, the final thing is that you can smash DI out of his up air and down smash. Well, with the up air, it really isn't way too smash DI-able. A lot of times they'll be in anyways. But with down smash in particular, it's really easy to get out of his down smash. A lot of times it goes from a very good move to a pretty bad move just because the opponent can get right out of it, smash DI out of it, and then they're safe and you're stuck in a lot of lag. And then they can just start comboing you from there. So with all that said, let's talk about who Rob has an advantage versus and a disadvantage versus and is equal to. Now, in my opinion, Rob really doesn't auto-win much of these matchups or auto-lose much of these matchups. A lot of them are very skill-based, and you can win these matchups if you do put a lot of time into it and bother to learn them, but you still have a slight disadvantage or a slight advantage. So just want to put that out there, but let's get this started. Who is he good versus? First off, people with no projectile, mainly for the fact that you can out-camp the opponents very easily without a projectile. Just use your neutral B, use your gyro, add with your forwarder and your nair, and enemies can't can't do way too much. The second thing is he does well against enemies without amazing approaches. Even if they have a decent approach, you're going to be able to outspace them. You're going to be able to keep them afar very easily. And of course with your Nair and your forward air, it's really hard to approach. So if they don't have an amazing approach, they're going to be in big trouble. The third thing is he does well versus almost every weight. Now, a lot of the characters in this game do well versus one weight or another weight, but he seems to do well versus pretty much all the weights. He has a decent amount of combo versus all of them, kills pretty early against the lightweights, and versus the heavyweights has a bit more combos, and against the middleweights can still do pretty dang well. The fourth thing is that he does do well against slow enemies, like a lot of people in this game, mainly because the fact that you grab just combos them very well, and also that you can keep them outspaced with your forward air, with your neutral air, with your B, with your down B. Just the same thing with camping them. You can just camp these slow enemies very easily, and you can outspace them without them being able to do pretty much anything against you, so it's very good. Also, the fifth thing I'd say is he's very good versus characters that are very unsafe. Now, for the fact that if you're playing against an unsafe character as Rob, you'll be able to punish them very well. You have up smash, which can punish. You also have your gyro, which can combo to other moves, which can punish. You have a lot of good punishing moves. And if the opponent keeps missing moves, then they're in big trouble. But at the same time, if you miss a few of your moves, it doesn't matter way too much because you have very little ending lag on a lot of them, and you can't be punished way too well. So, say you do very well versus these characters that have a lot of ending lag and that aren't very safe. The sixth thing is that he does do well versus people that need a lot of spacing, mainly for the fact that your moves can kind of stop their spacing, and also because you do have these great far range attacks, and because you are just so safe and your moves come out a lot faster than most of the opponents and a lot stronger, that there's not much these other spacing guys can do against you. Finally, he does well versus people with tether grabs, because while their grabs coming out, you can press down B very quickly and stop them, and you just have a very strong grab which just kind of counteracts their grab. So with advantages always comes disadvantages. Of course, I said earlier, these aren't auto-lose matchups. He can actually win most of these matchups, and he does okay versus high tiers, but at the same time, these are some matches that I feel like he does have a bit of a disadvantage at. So let's get this started. The first thing is he does very bad against characters with very safe approaches. Now this is the fact that you are a very safe character yourself, but you can't approach way too well. You kind of have to keep the opponent at a far distance and, you know, wait for them to approach you. But if they have a safe approach, then you're just kind of in big trouble because you'll try to stop them with your own safe move, but you'll use it, you'll get back to the ground, and then they'll just hit you anyways because they have a very safe approach to boot, so there's that. Second thing is he does very bad against these combo city enemies because Rob, of course, as I said earlier, gets comboed super badly. If the opponent does get in, any combo character can just run up, and if they do happen to get into him, they can just hit over and over and over again. He doesn't have a get off me move. He just gets hurt so bad. And against a lot of these combo city guys, doesn't do way too well. The third thing is people that can just out camp him or absorb his projectile. Now this is because with Rob a lot of the times you will have to use your projectile very well. And if the opponent can out camp you, you really can't do way too much. You don't have the best approach game in the game. I mean, it's decent, but if you can get out camped, it does become a big problem for Rob, because that's one of the best parts about Rob, and because Rob isn't so fast, it really makes him hard to get back in if the opponent is out camping you. The fourth thing is he does not too great against really fast enemies, because with very fast enemies, they can just perfect shield one of your projectiles, run in and grab you, or run in neutral air you, or run in forward air you, whatever. And that does become a very bad problem. If they're a slow enemy, then they'll run up, perfect shield it, and run towards you, but you'll be a little bit too far away that they can't quite reach you. But if they're very fast, they can just run up, perfect shield, hit you, and when that happens, there's not way too much you can do. And the final thing is just people that have very long ranges. Now, I did say that you can do well versus people that are good at spacing. Now, this is saying they have about your same range of spacing. You can do okay versus them and pretty much beat them. But if they have very, very long ranges, or very long just projectiles, anything that's very long range and can outbeat your own range, you can't do way too much against, because you don't have the most range in the game, and if they just outrange you, outspace you, it can become very hard very fast. Finally, let's talk about his even matchups. Now, in my opinion, Robin has some of the most even matchups in the entire game, and I'd say that he actually does well versus a lot of characters. He doesn't have way too much disadvantages, way too much advantages. So as you see on the screen in front of you, he does have a lot of close to even matchups. Now, these can be slightly in his favor, slightly against his favor, but with all of his tools, with being pretty safe, but at the same time not really being able to approach, and being pretty far range, but not the most range in the game, it gives him a lot of pros and a lot of cons that keep him, I feel, like a very good character, but really not an auto-win character. So that's why I put him with so many even matchups. Finally, do you need a secondary as Rob? Rob is one of those characters that I feel really doesn't need a secondary. Now, of course, he does get comboed pretty easily, and fast characters can do pretty well versus him, but at the same time, he does have a lot of equal matchups, and you can learn some of your bad matchups, and you can do pretty equal against them. A lot of your bad matchups can turn kind of into equal matchups if you do start to actually learn them, and I'd recommend where you could learn them is on Smash Sports or any Smash forum that you could possibly find. Try to look them up, try to look how you can actually win as them, and you'll be doing fine. If you did want to pick up a secondary, I'd either recommend somebody that can combo a little bit more than Rob, or somebody with a tiny bit more range, or just somebody with a lot more speed, because Rob isn't the fastest character in the game. But that's about all I can say about Rob. If you guys did enjoy this video, make sure to press that like button, and comment down below if you want a matchup in the future about Kirby, or a matchup about Marth. Those are the two things I've been working on, so tell me what one you want first, and then I'll be releasing it, and of course I'll ask you for a future video also. Thank you guys for watching though, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll be seeing you all next time.